As I mentioned last week, several weeks ago, we had young members of our Sunday school participate in the annual St. John Chrysostom Oratorical Festival. You know that St. John Chrysostom was a great preacher of the church. In fact, so great that he was given the name Chrysostomos, Golden Mouth. The annual event is sponsored by the Archdiocese, and all of the metropolises and each of the parishes are encouraged to participate. We have been blessed at Holy Cross to have, over these many years, several of our young people to participate in this competition. I find that in today's world, articulating thoughts other than what one might hear and then repeat is a great challenge. And I find that our young people here at Holy Cross have met that challenge in articulating their thoughts about the faith, some of which pertain to current events, but beautifully all refer to theological premises within our faith. We have this morning two young ladies who will share their thoughts with us, Fotini Marku and Zoe Wentley. And I'd like to call them to the podium. Hopefully they are here. There's Zoe. Come forward, Zoe. And there's Fotini. So you may use the stool that is there if you wish and pull the microphone down.
My topic is about keeping the faith in middle school. Good morning. My name is Zoe Wentley, and today I am here to talk about my journey through middle school and the doubts I have faced so far. I am in 6th grade and attend Burrell Middle School. We all remember middle school years, whether we would like to or not. And most of all, we know that middle school are some rough years in life. People change through friends and develop their personality during middle school. But it's not an easy walk in the park. These times, like any other, can cause you to question your faith and wonder if God is really there when you're struggling. During this time in my life, I've had difficulties with friends and fitting in. I feel compared because I don't have a phone or know the latest TikTok dance or use Snapchat. I feel like I'm being examined under a microscope and that I'm not good enough to be friends with these quote-unquote popular girls because I don't have these things. This caused me to think less highly of myself. I felt the need to be perfect like them. And one of the major effects is everyone has phones. And through my experience, I don't really think I need one or want one. But to fit in, I feel I need a phone to be like the others. Throughout this and many other struggles in life, we tend to have doubts in faith and tend to wonder if God is really there and why he would cause these troubles. I asked myself this question too. If he's really there assisting me, planning things for me, then why would he cause these negative events? This idea made me question if anyone else felt this way. And through the guidance of my family, church, and prayer, I have come to the conclusion that we all have doubts in faith and bad days where we feel the world is crumbling. But God really is always with us, protecting us during our highs and our lows, and always has a plan for us, no matter what, in our best interests, even if we don't understand it right away. It's not abnormal to have doubts in your faith, because I've even heard that priests have doubts. Isn't that true, Father Peter? We also have to learn and to adjust to these doubts in life and know that God understands that we are human and have weaknesses and doubts. But that doesn't make him mad or distance our relationship with him. And many might think having doubts means sinning, but this is a natural occurrence in humanity. Isaiah chapter 30, verse 21. Whether you turn to the right or to the left, your ears will hear a voice behind you saying, "This is the way, walk in it." A couple of weeks ago, I wasn't having a great day, and I felt that there was nothing I could do but give up. This then led to the thought of why God would punish me with this pain. Later, as I was sharing the despair of my day with my dad, I expressed that I was doubting my faith in God. My dad had then brought up a point by saying we all have good days and bad days, and it's normal to have doubts. He continued by saying that the day was not the best for me, but in fact was a great one for him. He had found out that one of his friends wanted to make a donation in my sister's name to a foundation where it gives adults with intellectual disabilities a chance to live a college life-like experience. In case you don't know my family, I have a loving younger sister, Christina, who has Down syndrome. This story had brought me to tears, knowing that maybe my sister may someday attend this program. This act of kindness from a distant friend of my dad's made me believe that God does have a plan for us all. This shows how God is present in everyone's life through it all. Now, upon reflection, my bad day really has taught me a lesson, that it's okay to have doubts in your faith, and that God works wonders through bad situations. God really does have a plan for me and us all, and He is here to give us guidance and peace. Isaiah chapter 58, verse 11. The Lord will guide you always. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and will strengthen your frame. You will have a well-watered garden like a spring whose waters never fail. This explains how God will help us grow and strengthen us even if it's hard or we have doubts in Him. Now when I think about all the negative effects in my life, even though at first they all seemed bad, they all ended in a way that made me realize there was purpose behind it. And I believe that that's an important lesson for us all, whether it's middle school or something else, that our faith in Jesus Christ is the belief that He rose from the dead to save us all. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me today.
Ladies and gentlemen, Chrysostom. Luke the Evangelist, in his Gospel, Luke chapter 18, verses 9 through 14, writes, "To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, 'God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector. I fast twice a week and give 1/10 of all I get.' But the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his chest and said, 'God, have mercy on me, a sinner.' I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." In this beautiful parable, these 2 men's lives are significant symbols that we can relate to the real world. The publican and the Pharisee have extremely different mindsets. The Pharisee is full of himself, thinks he's better than everyone else, and is very self-centered. He portrays the mindset of today's society. The Pharisee represents religious pride. He is consumed by a self-satisfied and self-righteous inner attitude that does not leave any room for God to transform him by His divine grace. His prayer is meant for God, but instead is self-serving. The publican, on the other hand, is full of humility, knows his shortcomings, and is other-centered. He portrays everything society criticizes. The publican represents the non-religious society. He is a tax collector and is viewed as collaborating with the Roman authorities. This parable, however, does not condemn the publican's occupation, but instead describes him as one who recognizes his state of unworthiness before God and confesses his need to turn his life around. He repents. This parable is a great example of what it means to live with humility. It teaches us that there is a huge difference between being humble and being prideful. To me, humility means being honest and wise, as well as thinking of other people before ourselves. Humility teaches us to approach life as God sees it and to know oneself and others as God sees us. In our Orthodox faith, humility is viewed as a virtue that we should all strive for. Pride, on the other hand, is a vice that we should all run from. Jesus' life is the most perfect example of humility. The Jews in his time were waiting and looking for a king after the likes of King David or King Solomon, and one who had power like Julius Caesar. Jesus truly surprised them by riding into Jerusalem on a donkey. It was unfathomable then that they would recognize him and accept him as the King of Kings. In today's society, living a humble life is quite a challenge. Although we may strive to be like the publican in Jesus' parable, or even like Jesus himself, it is not as easy as we may think. In our current lives, we value a culture where celebrities, influencers, and all of us are encouraged to focus only on ourselves and always strive to be number one. Getting ahead in American society means being popular, famous, and wealthy. All of these factors greatly contradict the focus that we should have in life, to look to God for our self-worth and to love Him. With so many self-centered people around us, it is extremely tempting to follow society rather than to follow God. It is indeed a challenge to live in a society that consumes us. We can combat this by being mindful of others' lives and constantly asking God to give us a heart of humility. Thank you.
Thank you, Fotini. Thank you, Zoe. I am inspired and uplifted each time I listen to our young people, and I have great hope in the near future as well as the distant future as I listen to our young people articulate their thoughts about the faith and about present-day situations. May God bless and keep all of us in good health, and may He continue to bless us here at Holy Cross. Please stand.